Welcome, everybody, to the American Space Museum. I'm Marquette, and we're so glad you're with us to stay curious today on this August 3rd, 2022. A lot going on the Space Coast as we're ramping up for the Artemis 1 launch, and right behind that will be another crew going up the International Space Station. But Marty Winkel, my cameraman, co-producer, and Streamlabs engineer, Marty, they're going to try to launch a rocket at about 6:30 tomorrow morning, and then about 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, just a launch pad apart. And so we'll see if that happens. A big Atlas 5 rockets on the pad now with a military payload. Of course, pretty much top secret. That's to go about 6:30 something in the morning on pad 41 at Cape Canaveral Space Force, and then at pad 40, about a mile and a half south, is where SpaceX Falcon 9 is poised with a Korean satellite, their first satellite from Korea that's going to orbit the moon, a Korean lunar orbiter. So we'll talk about that if it's successful, of course, down the road on Stay Curious. We got a beautiful photograph here. Thank you, Tom Usiak. One of his Hasselblad shots, he said he had it on a remote outside the fence at pad 39A when STS-43 was launched on August 2nd, 1991, and John Blaha was the commander on that. And we interviewed not too long ago Jim Adamson. Back in March, in fact, we interviewed Jim Adamson, an astronaut on this mission. And what a fascinating guy. Go check that out on YouTube, astronaut Jim Adamson. Mostly didn't talk about being an astronaut. He's one of those behind-the-scenes guys that put together United Space Alliance for the last 12 years, managing the shuttle program, and is a Lockheed Martin brilliant manager. And so check that out. Wanted to give a plug to Mr. Adamson there. We'll talk about the patches because of the Shuttles of August is what we're into now, Marty, and there's 9 Shuttles of August, so we'll do shuttles by the number here in just a minute. But we did say about the excitement building up on the Space Coast. Here are 2 people that are packing the Artemis official flight kit, okay? And it contains things, of course, like Exploration Ground System, EGS they call it, patches, 100 of those, 2,500 Artemis 1 pins, 2,700 patches. It's got 50 U.S. flags on it. Doesn't say what size. I'm looking at the PDF file that you can take off the NASA website about this. We'll post that on our Facebook here in a day or two. They're taking with them some legacy things, though, of Apollo 11. There's some lunar sample button going there. Metal shavings from the Orion module, a bag of them, it says. No doubt they'll put those in plastic and hand out to people. There's such things as a Dead Sea Pebble. 1 Dead Sea Pebble is going in there for the Italian Space Agency. Germany's got some patches on there. Japan and European flags. ESA patches. Just 5 ESA patches. 125 U.S. flags, another size. So let's see, minifigures, Lego, 4 Lego minifigures, and there is a replica, 3D replica of the goddess Artemis I saw on there too. So it'll be fun to look at these things. These are the gentlemen packing that kit to be stowed on the Orion spacecraft. It's going to spend almost a month in a gigantic loop around the moon, if successful, mimicking what the Gateway space station would do. Go down to about 300 miles of the surface of the moon and then go out to about 20,000 miles at least away and then loop back in. Marty, what's going on?
Turn the gain down a little bit.
Turn the gain down a little bit, which means what direction? That way, okay. All right, we're having still some audio problem there, and I turned it a little bit more. All right, thank you, Marty. We also want to, so hotels are full. If you haven't gotten a good hotel, you probably have to find an hotel, motel, or a camping spot out here. Marty might rent you a room, though. He said no. No way. Okay. But yeah, it's going to be packed. It's going to be wonderful. August 29th is what we're talking about. It's going to be wonderful. The launch of Artemis 1 at 8:30 in the morning. Haven't figured out where I'm going to be yet, Marty, but we'll find a good place to watch the rocket launch. We want to remind everybody that the American Space Museum is still closed until next Monday, August 8th, and we have for sale to offset our loss of income by you wonderful people visiting us these Cali official Cali artwork T-shirts by the legendary Paul Cali. The Armstrong white one and the orange one above my head, Power to Go, a Saturn V rocket launching. And then his son, Chris Cali, who I saw a picture with Chris. Hi to Chris out there. He and his father both done a lot of U.S. stamps. I'm talking over 3 dozen between the two of them. And the Usiak brothers got together with Chris in Pennsylvania the other day. So always good to see our friends that support our museum. And Chris Cali, thank you for your support. He's come on board this year, and he wants to raise money for our museum. And yes, we've gotten a lot of orders in, okay? And yes, the printer's making the shirts. We told 4 to 6 weeks, so just hold on a little bit longer, and we'll start shipping these out, and then pretty much get them out within a week of when you order them. So the printer's very excited to get these out because they're going to be winners. Look at these beautiful artwork, and then when you feel these very lightweight, good feel to these T-shirts. Well, we have a happy birthday, Marty, to Joan Higginbotham. Happy 58th birthday to Joan. Let me get my little bio on her around here. She is a one-time astronaut on born in Chicago. There we are. There's Joan. Born in Chicago, Illinois on August 3rd, 1964. She was a Kennedy Space Center electrical engineer who became an astronaut, all right? And I have got a note here from someone that worked. I meant to pull a note off. We had somebody mention when we posted her birthday that worked with her and found her very delightful to work for and a hard worker. And we certainly... I met her. I didn't meet her. Kind of met her. She was at the astronaut encounter the other day and talked to her briefly. Where's my notes on her on this other stuff? Hold on a second. Make notes up and then I don't bring them to the table. Is it sitting over there, Marty? There we are. There, I found what I needed there. So, Joan Higginbotham, born in Chicago, 1964. 116 is her mission. She's the 3rd African American to go to space. Here she is in space, in Discovery. She is a Southern Illinois University at Carbondale Bachelor of Science, but she was schooled at the Florida Institute of Technology in nearby Melbourne. So she began her NASA career in 1987, and then in 116 she was in space in 2007 or 2008. She was 116 was. I have to look that up. But she was originally going to be also on 126, and she retired to take a job in the private sector. So happy birthday to Joan Higginbotham, 58. Like I said, I got to talk to her briefly at the Visitors Complex, and boy, she's really tiny, Marty, but a great smile on her face, and one of the couple of women who became astronauts after NASA engineers. Kay Heyer was first. And, of course, Nicole Stott's another one. So, all right. We also wanted to give a little shout-out to this gentleman, Tom Young. He is going to space tomorrow morning, all right, on a space or Blue Origin suborbital flight with 6 other people. Here's the other people. And why I put him up, because he's an entrepreneur in downtown Ugali, they call it, here, which is actually Melbourne area, but he had a tech company and turned it into gold, obviously, and he's built a 3-story restaurant called Pineapples downtown. It's yellow outside. You can't miss it. Well, he's going suborbital, 11-minute flight. I think that's at 8:30 tomorrow morning Eastern Daylight Time, I'm assuming, which would be 7:30 West Texas time. So a lot of activity going on Thursday. If this goes up, and that will be after when a Atlas 5 goes up at 6:30 in the morning, and then in the evening about 7 o'clock will be a Falcon 9 rocket. So we wish Mr. Young there all the best on his suborbital flight. Thank you, Marty, for sharing that. There he is behind me there. The first Egyptian and the first a Portuguese person going up on this flight, strapped in for about 5 minutes of weightlessness. So, well, let's get into the Shuttles of August by the numbers. There are 9 shuttles there, Marty, and I'll make it like that so we can see that. Again, Tom UCX launching STS-43 behind us here. What a beautiful shot that is. Just the power of that. Just taking that all in, and that's a remote camera, of course. It's censored by the sound vibrations in the air. But what a moment of launch there. Love it. Good shot there, Tom. But our Shuttles of August have 9 shuttles by the numbers. The first night launch and landing is STS-8, which is the last shuttle launched of the month on the 30th of the month. Discovery, out of the 9 shuttles, all the orbiters, all 5 orbiters flew, but 103 Discovery had 5 flights, so it had more than half of the flights, 5 out of the 9, and then that, of course, gave Columbia 1, Challenger 1, Atlantis 1, and Endeavour 1. Those 9 shuttles orbited the Earth for 74 days, okay, with 53 crew members on board. And I'll get rid of Shuttle 8 behind me there. 53 crew members can say they orbited the Earth in August. I know Jim Adamson is one that could say that twice because he was launched on STS-43 and STS-28. So August is his month as he just flew twice. 6 women out of the 53 crew members, all right? 3 of the missions this month, Marty, were out of the 24 that flew before Challenger. And those early missions in the 80s, 84, 85, 83, like we see there, are very pioneering missions. There's always unknowns and testing new equipment. Heck, they didn't even know if some of the locker doors would spring open and hold tight and all that stuff during the launches and landings. 5 of these 9 missions deployed satellites. In fact, 2 of them were what the shuttle was designed for. 85 there, and the other one would have been 41D. They were designed to be a truck to take up 3 satellites for different companies around the world, and then cash the check and then fly more up there. 3 of these 9 missions were hard hat missions to the International Space Station, and 2 of these missions exchanged crews up there at the International Space Station. 105 there in the middle, and 128 there in the lower left. And one was a Department of Defense mission, which is the one STS-28 above my head here, top secret. There's only about 3 paragraphs that you can find about that one. And even Jim Adamson couldn't tell me what he did on that years later. But an interesting point that we'll do a program about our Department of Defense missions. STS-28 was in 1989, and it was Columbia. That's what the C is behind the date that it was in orbit. And in that 2-year period, while we were negotiating, America was negotiating, specifically President Reagan with the Soviet Union to restore democracy somewhat to their people, we launched 5 Department of Defense missions. And as Mr. Adamson, the astronaut, one of them pointed out, the resources we put in space during that period of time very quickly changed the whole attitude of the Russians. And the wall came down in Berlin shortly afterwards. So space does work as a military high point. There's no doubt about that, right, Marty? Well, we're going to look a little bit here at. Do we have any comments from anybody in there?
Yeah, asking. Oh, Joe Stangy. Asking, hope you broadcast the Artemis launch.
Hope we broadcast the Artemis launch. We'll see about that. We'll at 8:30 in the morning, and the problem with that is getting a strong signal when you have. We're gonna have 4 to 5,000 people around wherever you're at. So we'll see what we can do. But
I'll be selling shirts and medallions.
Yeah, he's gonna sell shirts and medallions over there, and we doubt that we will. One, the morning launches are murder photographically when you're across the river looking at it because you're shooting into the sun. And two, let's let the pros do that. And three, maybe we can find a different angle or a twist to make that happen for you there. So anyway, great. All right. Well, we'll thank you for commenting about that, and we will. Of course, we're trying to effort some people from Artemis to talk about the launch with us there as it approaches here on August 29th, Tuesday. Here we have a great picture that Carlton Bailey took of the crew of STS-43 when they arrived at Cape Canaveral or landed at the base there. Of course, that's Shannon Lucid, and you've got Jim Adamson. There's in the middle, David Lowe. John Blaha. John Blaha is talking on the microphone. He's the commander. And Baker. Jim Baker's the pilot on the far left there. And then you've got Lowe, who was the son of George Lowe and tragically died of prostate cancer. So get checked up, man. This was Blaha's command, and the mission after this was his last, and he spent 5 months on the Mir space station. So their patch is something that honored the Mercury flight. Baker really wanted to honor the flight of Mercury, so it's in the shape of a bell like the Mercury. We're going to talk about the mission patches here real quick, something to entertain you and stay curious. This was from Mercury to the Space Shuttle tribute. In the emergence of Shuttle Atlantis out of the outline of the Mercury is conveyed as the shuttle's ascent to Earth. In the middle there, that gold spacecraft is the tracking data and relay satellite, which we have a series of, I believe, 5 of them active and 1 in reserve around the Earth. That is where the communication from the International Space Station comes down to us, okay? And it was very important to keep continuous communication in the early shuttle days because they just had ground station radar dishes, all right? And the first one went up, the Challenger one was, that we lost, I think, was the 6th one. So that was an early thing of the early shuttles, was put up this tracking data and relay system called TDRS. And I would say they're based on some good spy satellites like that, and the payload bay of the shuttle was basically 60 feet by 15 feet to accommodate that. So Marty turned down what? The game. Down to the left or the right? Keep going further more. It's pegged now. I'm pegged at the bottom there on the gain. But that's where we've not had it, so I'll peg it there. All right, sorry for the audio problem. I'm going to press on regardless. So the stars at the top also represent the 7 astronauts of the Challenger. But they're arranged 4 stars to the left and 3 stars to the right. Numerical 4-3 for the mission. And there's the crew. Carlton Bailey took that photograph of the crew walkouts. Again, going out to the thing. There in the middle, behind Blaha, the commander, who's front, is Mr. Jim Adamson, and that's Baker on the left. He was twice a commander and twice a pilot. And there's the beautiful launch we've been talking about. You got the steam on the left. Look at the different colored clouds. The steam cloud from the SSME's igniting underneath all of the water suppression system going off at T minus 6.8 seconds. And then over here, this cloud is definitely grayer. That's the nasty gunpowder, the SRBs. Of course, it's not gunpowder. It's high-tech sort of gunpowder. And if you didn't know, those 4 stacks there burn inside out. It doesn't burn from the bottom all the way to the top. It is configured inside so big that they put human people down there on harnesses to inspect things up along there. And it's in contours to give it boost at the right amount of time. So let's get into the next patch that we want to talk about is 85. 85 was launched on the 7th of the month. Let me get my little sheet there so I can go in order here. It was launched, yes, the 7th of the month at 10:40 a.m. Almost 11 days in space, a crew of 6. Kurt Brown was the commander. Ken Rominger, a future commander, was the pilot. And this was a mission of broad science and engineering payloads on the flight. They had a pilot out there with telescopes, a cryogenic infrared spectrometer. The Japanese had a payload for the manipulator arm demonstration on there that they would use later on their own Kibo module on the space station. There was other payloads in there that the astronauts did not get out there, and that's what's represented in the payload bay there. That little top or dreidel-looking object over here, that is the Krista. All right, the cryogenic infrared spectrometer and telescope for the atmosphere. Shuttle Pilot Satellite 2. All right. And this shuttle mission had a lot of telescopes that didn't look up, they looked down at the atmosphere. And we've got a lot of database here from this mission in 1997, all right, where we've learned a lot. That's what, Marty, 25 years ago. You better believe this data provided some of the bedrock for what we know about the global warming situation. So the next launch of the month is this top secret Columbia STS-28, launched August 8th, all right. So we had 2 missions, August 8th is, thought there was 2 missions, yeah. 28th launched on August 8th, and 118 is launched on August 8th. And I must have that out of order there. There's 118. All right, so a top secret mission, classified. They don't even announce the launch window until hours beforehand. But obviously, it says it all with the American Eagle guiding the space program or the space shuttle south of Baja, California. There is shown on the Earth, re-entering the atmosphere, and the contrails are, of course, the American flag. Simple but bold, and how effective, one of my favorite patches. Now this is as you look at this patch, now at 128, launched in August 28th, 2009, you're getting a bigger sense of what it's about. One, they've got the mission number on there, which they didn't allow that to the later missions because those could have changed. And you see the outline of the space station above, the astronaut pin. The shuttle's vector is the American flag. I mean, the exhaust is the American flag. And you have a torch over there. What's the torch about on the left? Is there a 118 celebrates...
It's like an Olympic torch.
Olympic torch. The flame of knowledge represents the importance of education and honors teachers and students everywhere. All right. So... you've also got a maple leaf on there signifying the Canadian members of the crew over there above my head. Then we have STS-105 that was launched on August 10th, 2011, almost 12 days in space. This was the second crew exchange of the International Space Station in 2001, all right? They took up Expedition 3, all right, and brought down Expedition 2. And Expedition 3 was James Voss, Yuri Usovich, and Susan Helms. And Susan Helms became the commander, I believe. No, she did not become the commander because Peggy Whitson was the first commander. But coming down was Frank Culbertson and two Russians, all right. Now, Marty, this was August 2001, all right. And I have it backwards because September 11th, 2001, we know we were attacked. And that's when they brought up Culbertson, all right, and two Russians, and brought down Voss, Usrovich, and Susan Helms. That's right, they were the crew too. And then Frank Culbertson famously took photographs of the burning World Trade Towers over Manhattan from space. And this depicts again the up and down of a shuttle returning and taking up to the International Space Station. You've got the flags of Russia and America in the exhaust there. And the astronaut pin. If you didn't know, that vector with the circle and the star on top is what they give astronauts. That is their official you've been to space pin. It's gold when you've been to space, silver when you're an astronaut before you go to space. Then we've got this one, STS-51I, an early August 27th, 85 mission, and it was the space truck delivered. 3 communication satellites were deployed, one for America, one for Australia, and another one for, looks like SYNCOM-4 was probably an American satellite there. And they had some experiments in the payload bay deck, and they chose, of course, the strong patriotic theme of FT-1I. Joe Engle was the commander, so he may have had some influence on that, and Richard Covey, but Joe Engle, the only man to fly 2 returnable space planes. What? What's the second one, Mark? Think about it, folks. Joe Engle was also an X-15 pilot, like Neil Armstrong. And so he flew an X-15 to the edge of space. I think he got his astronaut wings for going above the Kármán line. And then he flew the shuttle. And so Joe Engle may have something to do with this patriotic thing there. Now this one, a little more in depth, STS-128 is August 28th, 2009. This again took Nicole Stott up to the space station and brought back Tim Kopra. All right, that's why her name is on the bottom in the banner below there. So she was taken up on space up there. Rick Sturtko was the commander. Kevin Ford was the pilot. And there we have a picture. Hello there, Carlton, with Fonzie there. Fonzie there is your Godzilla offspring, okay? And that's Nicole Stott with, of course, photographer Carlton Bailey, whose photographs we featured not too on the walkout there, the astronauts in there. So, and we're going to have Carlton on Tuesday, August 23rd. All right, we're lining up quite a few people as our museum's getting ready to reopen. Next Tuesday, we're going to have Tales from the White Room. We're going to have Terry's Shuttle Garage, all right, with Terry White on next Tuesday the 9th. And the 10th, Wednesday, we're going to have Hugh Harris talk about his favorite shuttles of the month of August. STS-8, no doubt, will be involved because he was a PR officer on that mission with Guy Bluford, the first African-American in space, and the first night launch, STS-8. So Hugh will tell us all about that. And then on the 24th, we'll have on Wednesday, we'll have Mikey Haddad with payloads. All right. But we're going to have this man, Carlton Bailey, back on to talk about some of the fun he had at a photo lab. And as he was a launch photographer, Carlton's got over 600 launches to his credit there. And we love having fun with Carlton, so we can't wait to get him back in the studio. Well, getting back to our shuttles of the month there that Nicole Stott was involved with, and it was 41D, launched on August 30th, 1984. And 41D had aboard it Henry Hartsfield, who I've always has got that shock of white hair. Michael Coates was the pilot. This was the one flight of Judy Resnick, who lost her life in the Challenger explosion. And again, 3 satellites deployed up and down, all right, and the checks cashed at the bank for NASA of what they wanted to be doing in August of 1984. And this beautiful patch features Discovery making its maiden voyage. It was the 3rd orbital vehicle. OV-103 is the tail number, and Discovery ended up flying the most of any of the shuttles. As I consult the scroll to be accurate, it had how many total launches? 39. Yes, 39 total launches for Discovery, and that is 6 more than Atlantis had at 33. So it's the most traveled and orbited the Earth the most and spent exactly 365 days in space. But this was its inaugural launch on 41D, and that was about 5 days in space. And after they deployed their satellites, they got back home as quick as they could. You've got the Ghost ship represents the orbiter's namesakes, which have figured prominently in the history of exploration. They named it after a European English sailing ship, and the names of the crews are, of course, encircled there on the 11th mission of the entire shuttle program. Thank you, Ophelia, for watching. And Chalid Zan, thank you for being such a faithful watcher. Dave Stange and Robert Law. Robert Law said that STS-43 was special to him as he had his first satellite dish installed and could now get CNN and watch it live coverage of shuttles from Dundee, Scotland, where he lives, and because they only had 1, 2, 8, and 26 were live in the UK, he said. So we had 4 shuttle launches up till 43. Got that first satellite dish in 1991, huh? I was living in Appalachia, and them satellite dishes, they called those the flower of the Appalachia because everybody had them all over every holler and so forth. Longest Saint, thank you for watching. DeSal and Zerga, we're thanking you for staying curious. William Whiting, thank you for ordering a t-shirt the other day. We know you guys are ordering them. We'll call you up when it's in so you can pick it up. Carmen Angelo, thank you for watching. And Humberto Villada Lopez. It means a lot that you all are on board. And Nell is watching. And Tom Celentano, thank you for watching. And Tom said that he saw 5 of the 9 liftoffs in August, and 41D was your first one. So that meant August 30th, 84 there, the one we're talking about here, Tom. So thank you for supporting Stay Curious. All of you, tell your friends to watch us on YouTube, as we're making a few cents, literally, every broadcast on YouTube. But if we hit the jackpot and have those 10,000 hits that I could probably get if I put a hula hoop around my waist and started doing something crazy. But that's how we hope to make some side money here. That's our side hustle here at the American Space Museum. Well, last but not least, the Shuttles of August feature Challenger and the first night launch. Can't wait to talk to Hugh Harris about this mission as Guy Bluford became the first African American to fly in space. And he flew, I think, 3 other missions, became a very experienced mission specialist. This again flew up and made some money in 1983, August 30th, 2:32 a.m. launch, Marty. And Marty was working on the space launch systems, space launching systems on the SSME engines, the 3 engines on 2:32. That you had to set your alarm there and get up early or not go to bed. One of the 2 there, huh, Marty? That was a 6-day flight. Do you remember being at that? I didn't ask you about that beforehand. The first night launch of a shuttle had been pretty special, huh? Yeah. Okay.
It's a different glow than you had on in Saturn V.
A different glow, he said, than Saturn V. And what I found fascinating that you've talked about is the wildlife at this nature preserve doesn't know there's about to be a launch at 2:32 in the morning. So you hear a lot of birds flapping and.
You don't really hear too much other than the engines.
Oh, okay. You don't hear too much of the engines in there. Some people said they've heard crocodiles make noise and stuff like that. You know, when once it gets high up and the engines are not roaring so loud there. But anyway, first night launch and first night landing. They landed 6 days later at Edwards Air Force Base at a little after midnight, 12:40 at night. So we'll feature, like I said, I'm sure Hugh Harris, our Public Information Officer, the voice of NASA, will have something to say about this mission. Richard Truly, we have your handprints here in our shuttle gallery. Proudly have those on display. Dan Brandenstein, another pilot that became a commander, was on that, along with William Thornton, one of the unsung heroes of the medical side of the space shuttle era. William Thornton created the workouts that are now being done on the space station. And Dale Gardner was the other one on that as we go around there. And a beautiful patch, Marty. You see many paintings like this of the shuttle coming at you, like as if you're a bird flying over. This was the 8th flight, of course, of the entire space transportation system. And the Challenger's headed toward its 3rd Earth orbital mission. All right. So hope that you enjoyed reviewing a little bit the artwork and some of the history behind the Shuttles of August. Again, 53 men and women can say they orbited Earth in August for 74 days on 9 shuttles. And we will be talking to some people that did it, all right, as we go through the month with our regular guests of Mr. Hugh Harris next Wednesday. Next Tuesday, Terry White, who is the manager at the Orbital Processing Facilities, and he's going to talk about the OPFs on Tuesday. And then we're going to have launch photographer Carlton Bailey here on the 23rd, and Mikey Haddad here on the 24th. So anyway, thank you all. Marty, you have anything to close with our crew here today? Let me get another shot of rocket fuel there. Ooh, little spike there, huh? Who's putting something in my drink? We are anxious to get open. We're putting the museum back together. We'll put some pictures on Facebook of how beautiful the carpet looks. We're excited about a couple of new things that we put inside the museum. And, of course, we've got a much more spacious and functional conference room now. As we got rid of that 1970s wall paneling back there. So, well, on behalf of our wonderful Executive Director, Karan Conklin, and all of our staff here at the American Space Museum, I'm Mark Marquette. We hope to see you soon to bridge the space between us.